Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Now that Thanksgiving is over, we are in full-blown Christmas mode around here. In last week's video and a couple before that, I finished up all of the decorating, the inside of my home, also the outside of my home. But in today's video, I want to start talking about gifts, mainly some gifts that you can do on your own that aren't going to look like you threw them together last minute or they took no thought, no effort. So I have a few projects that I think you guys are going to like. If you do not want to go the DIY route this year, but you still want a gift that's going to be unique and meaningful, I've got you covered thanks to today's sponsor, Original Grain. So Original Grain is a family-owned and veteran-owned company that was started by two brothers from the Pacific Northwest that have been making unique watches for over 11 years now. You can head over to originalgrain.com/Kelsey to check out all of the sales they have going on their watches, and if you use code Kelsey, you can get an additional 10% off. So they sent over their whiskey barrel watch in 46 millimeters. And can we just talk about the packaging first? I think this is so nice, especially when you're giving a gift, you want the package to look nice. The whiskey barrel 46 millimeters is one of their best sellers for good reason. It's made from reclaimed American oak whiskey barrel wood plus espresso plated stainless steel. And because it has a 46 millimeter case, this is a bold statement piece that's sure to get noticed. They make such a good gift for any guy in your life, your dad, your brother, your uncle, your cousin. I know exactly who I'm going to give this to, and I think they're really going to appreciate the sentiment that it's such a unique piece. You can save by going over to originalgrain.com/Kelsey to check out the sales that they have going on, and then also use code Kelsey to get an additional 10% off. I will leave that link down in the description as well as the promo code for you guys to use, so make sure that you go check them out. I wanted to start off with a project that I did a couple years ago, but I've got a lot of new faces around here since then, and I figured you guys would love it too. And I wanted to make a rustic, skinny bench that I've seen all over the place. I'm taking a 2x6 and cutting it down to 46 inches, and that's going to be our top. And for the legs, I'm going to cut 4 pieces at 19 inches, but one end I'm going to cut a 10-degree cut to make sure that the legs are angled out a little bit, and then I'm going to cut some smaller pieces that are going to be braces in between the legs. And I'm attaching the legs together with glue and brad nails. You want to make sure that you use glue because you're not using screws, so you're going to need the glue to add stability to the piece. And then I'm going to go in with this wire brush attachment for my drill, and it's going to add some deep grooves into the wood, some texture. You can do light pressure or harder pressure depending on how distressed you want your piece, but it's really effective at making the wood look old and aged. You can see here how it adds these grooves to the board. And then I'm going to add some more distressing to the end. I'm taking my jigsaw, turning it upside down, and that's going to add some like deeper grooves to where there might be more natural distressing of the piece, like it's been banged against something. After all of the distressing, I'm going to use a 220 grit sanding pad to kind of smooth everything down. I know it seems kind of weird because we just distressed and now we're smoothing, but I don't want any pieces, any splinters sticking out. And after that was all smooth, I'm using some stain, some brown, and a gray, mixing those together to try to get the look of this older rustic wood. You can see how the stain settled into the grooves more than it did on the surface. That texture is super emphasized. And then I'm using my countersink bit to drill holes into the top of our bench because I'm going to go through that with some screws, and that's what's going to attach the top piece to our legs. But I don't want to leave those holes open where you can see this screw. I'm using some wood plugs and some wood glue to hide that screw. I also like the character that these wood plugs add to the top of the bench. Makes it look a little bit more charming in my opinion. And after that was done, the entire bench was done, and this is how it turned out. For my next project, I saw these trays on Etsy. They're sometimes called risers. They're really popular. I like the rusticness of it, but I knew that I could recreate it for a lot less than the $47.25 that this seller was charging for it. So I went to Lowe's and I grabbed some wood. I got this 1x10 and a 1x2, and the wood was less than $20, and I could make 4 risers with the wood that I bought. So the first thing that I did was measure 16 inches for my riser, and then I cut my 1x10 down, and then I cut down my 1x2 to be the width, not the 16 inches, to be the width of the 1x10, which is usually around 9¼ inches. Don't even get me started on why they call it a 1x10. But then I added some glue to the back. I'm not going to be using any nails because this is not structural. Gravity is going to help me here. So I added some glue and some clamps, and I let that dry completely. And after it was finished, I removed all of my clamps and I was ready to add some distressing to this wood because in our inspiration picture it's very distressed, very rustic. Now you can use this little tool that I'm using here, but it will take quite a while. So I'm using my angle grinder because it goes a lot quicker, and I'm just going to take that and just gouge into the wood. There is no perfect way to do this, no rhyme or reason. I'm just rounding off all of the hard corners, kind of like over time. This is the place that would get bumped and be smoothed out eventually. And then I am going in with this wire brush attachment for my drill, just like I did on the bench, because it's really going to put these deep grooves into the wood that the stain is going to sink into. And just like the bench, I don't want any harsh splinters or anything sticking out, so I am going to be taking my sander with a 220 grit sanding pad on it and just smoothing everything out. Then I'm going in with the stain color Provincial, and that's going to give us the darkness that we want for this board. And it was a little bit too dark, a little bit too new looking still for me, so I went in with the stain color Sun Bleached by Rust-Oleum, and I just layered that on top. It's like a gray white color that's just really going to make it look a lot more rustic and tone down all of those warm tones, and this is how it turned out. The next project I wanted to try would be super cute for a book lover in your life and pretty easy to do. It's these little book stands that you can put on your nightstand to keep your place in your book. And I'm going to make them out of this 1x6 board. This board is 4 foot long and I can get 2 out of them. So you can build this for around $4 in wood. So you're going to need 3 pieces that are going to be about 6.5 inches long, and each end is going to be cut at a 30-degree angle. And so you're going to put those together to form a triangle, and then I used some glue and a couple of brad nails to hold it together while the glue dried, and that's going to form our triangle. That's it. That is the basic build. And I just filled in my nail holes with some wood filler, and then I just took my sander to smooth those sharp points. I just wanted to make it look a little bit more worn, and I'm just going to go in with some stain color. I went in with Early American at first, but it was really light. I need to get a new can of stain because it's all sunk to the bottom, the actual pigment. So I after that went in with some Provincial stain, which I thought I filmed but I did not, but I like the darker color of it, and this is how that turned out. For this last project, I love these stone candles, but I do not love the price a lot of the time. So I saw this stone planter at Hobby Lobby for less than $5. It had a hole at the bottom, and that's not good whenever we were going to be filling it with wax for a candle. So I needed to go in with some hot glue. Actually, my daughter did because she was helping me with this project. And so I took a couple of inexpensive candles that I picked up from Walmart that I like the smell of. You can even use old candles that you have lying around. I grabbed those and put those in the water to start melting. And while those were melting down, I used some little wick pieces that I got from Hobby Lobby as well and hot glued those to the bottom
bottom of the planter. I do not want to get any wax around the edges of this rock because it's going to get in the little grooves and there would be no getting it out if I did get it on there. So after all of the wax was melted, I carefully used some tongs to remove the candle jars from the pot and dump them into a mixing bowl that had a little lip on it so I could carefully pour it into the candle here. Again, I did not want to spill and make a big mess. And because I had some wax left over, I decided to use this little jar that I had just randomly sitting in a drawer and make another candle out of that. But here is where we realized that we forgot to put wicks in this one. So before the wax started drying, we quickly put some wicks into the candle. And my daughter wanted to include a time lapse here so you could see how cool it was that the wax was drying and getting a lot more opaque and a lot more white. And then I just trimmed off the wicks of the candles and this project was complete.
I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video, maybe got a few ideas that you want to use for this Christmas season. If you guys do any other homemade gifts that you enjoy giving, let me know down in the description. I'm always looking for ideas and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!